I came home that evening expecting nothing out of the ordinary. The house was quiet, too quiet. No sounds of the TV, no music playing, not even the usual clicking of Emily's laptop keys. Just silence. I stepped into the living room, tossing my keys onto the coffee table, and that's when I saw her sitting on the couch, knees pulled up to her chest, arms wrapped around herself. Her face was pale, and there was this strange, vacant look in her eyes. "What's wrong?" I asked, kicking off my shoes. She didn't answer. Just sat there, staring at nothing. My stomach twisted a little. Emily was never like this. She was sharp-tongued, always full of opinions, the kind of woman who had a comeback for everything. Seeing her like this was off. I walked closer. That's when I saw the crumpled piece of paper in her hands. She gripped it so tightly her knuckles were white. "Emily." My voice was sharper this time. "What the hell is going on?" She blinked as if noticing me for the first time. Then, wordlessly, she extended the paper toward me. My heartbeat picked up as I took it from her. The first thing I saw was the letterhead of a medical clinic. My eyes scanned down and then I stopped breathing. Positive. It was an STD test result. The world around me shifted. The walls felt like they were caving in. My hands clenched the paper so tightly it crinkled, and for a long moment I just stood there, frozen, my brain refusing to make sense of what I was looking at. "Emily? My wife? How? How the hell did this happen?" My voice was eerily calm, but inside a storm was brewing. She didn't answer immediately. Just swallowed hard and ran a shaking hand through her hair. I don't know," she stammered. A bolt of fury shot through me. "You don't know?" My voice rose, sharp and disbelieving. "Emily, are you seriously about to sit there and tell me you don't know how you got an STD? Her lips parted, but no words came out. I saw it then, that flicker of panic in her eyes. That moment where she realized she was caught and had no idea how to spin it. I took a step forward. She shrank back into the couch. "Tell me the truth. Now." She opened her mouth, then closed it again. And that's when it hit me like a freight train. The wedding. 2 weeks ago, she had gone to Chicago for her friend's wedding. A weekend trip. Just her and a few of her college friends. She had sent me pictures, selfies with the bride, boomerangs of champagne toasts, blurry snaps of a crowded dance floor. She had come home exhausted, slept for almost a full day, and brushed off any questions I had about the trip with vague, lazy answers. And now this. I felt sick. "Chicago," I said coldly. She flinched. I let out a bitter, humorless laugh. "That's it, isn't it? That's where this happened." "No," she burst out too quickly. Too desperately. I swear, I didn't shut up. My voice was sharp as a blade. She clamped her mouth shut. I turned away, running a hand down my face, trying to stop my thoughts from spiraling. My wife. My wife. She had done this. She had gone to that wedding, lied to my face, and now she was sitting here, trying to act like she had no idea how this happened. And then, like she had suddenly found her footing, her expression changed. Her shoulders squared. Her lips pressed into a tight line. And in the blink of an eye, she wasn't the panicked, trembling woman I had walked in on anymore. She was defensive. "I don't know why you're freaking out," she snapped. "This doesn't mean anything. The test could be wrong. Or maybe you gave it to me." I actually laughed at that. A cold, sharp bark of disbelief. "Are you out of your goddamn mind? I haven't touched anyone but you in years." She crossed her arms. "Well, neither have I." I stared at her, waiting for her to crack. Waiting for her to admit it. But she just sat there, chin lifted in defiance, as if she actually thought she could gaslight me into believing that some STD had miraculously appeared out of thin air. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. Every part of me was screaming at me to flip the coffee table, to punch a hole through the goddamn wall, to do something to release the absolute fury surging through me. But I didn't. Instead, I threw the paper onto the floor. "I'm getting tested," I said, voice cold. "And if I don't have it, you're done lying to me." She didn't reply. Just looked away, jaw tight. I turned and walked out. I needed answers. I drove straight to the clinic, my mind running 100 miles per hour. The anger was there, simmering just beneath the surface, but underneath it was something worse. A feeling I didn't want to name. Something sharp and ugly that twisted deep in my chest. Betrayal. Emily was lying to me. I knew it. I had seen it in her face, in the way she had hesitated before handing me that test result. But what really got to me, what really made my blood boil, was how quickly she had tried to turn it on me. As if I was the one who had stepped out. As if I was the one who had destroyed our marriage. I gritted my teeth as I pulled into the parking lot of the urgent care clinic. The fluorescent lights inside buzzed softly as I checked in. The nurse barely looked at me as she handed me the paperwork. I filled it out with hands that felt too steady, considering the storm raging inside me. The test was quick. A blood draw, a few awkward questions from the doctor, and then I was out of there. Results in a few days. I didn't need them to know the truth, though. Emily had cheated on me. I gripped the steering wheel as I sat in the car, my breathing heavy. I should have been furious, should have been ready to drive back home and demand the truth out of her. But instead, all I felt was cold. Like my body had already processed the rage and was now just running on empty. I needed proof. Not just a medical test, something undeniable. Something she couldn't spin or manipulate. Because if there was one thing I knew about Emily, it was that she never admitted she was wrong unless she had no other choice. And if she had been capable of lying straight to my face tonight, she was capable of a lot worse. I drove home slowly, taking the long way, trying to clear my head. By the time I pulled into the driveway, the lights inside were still on. She was waiting for me. I stepped inside, closing the door behind me with deliberate slowness. Emily was still on the couch, but now she had her arms crossed, legs tucked under her, watching me like I was an intruder in my own home. "Well?" she asked. Her voice was clipped, defensive. "Did you get tested?" I tossed my keys onto the counter. "Yeah." She nodded as if that proved something. "Good." I exhaled slowly, staring at her. "Why don't you just tell me the truth?" "Emily?" She rolled her eyes. "I already did. I don't know how this happened." I scoffed. "So what? You expect me to believe a magical STD just appeared out of nowhere?" She shifted uncomfortably. "Maybe I had it before we met. And it just bullshit." My voice came out sharper than I intended. "We've been together for 7 years. You think it just now decided to show up?" Her lips pressed together. She knew I had her. But instead of admitting it, she did what she always did when backed into a corner. She got nasty. "You know what? You're being really anti-paranoid right now," she snapped. "I told you the truth. If you don't believe me, that's your problem." I let out a slow, humorless chuckle. "You want to know what I think?" She glared. "Not really." I ignored her. "I think you went to that wedding and had yourself a little fun. And now you're trying to lie your way out of it." Her face twisted. "Oh, you seriously?" I stepped closer. "You cheated on me." "I didn't." "Say it." "I didn't and cheat on you," she shouted, jumping to her feet. Her hands were clenched into fists at her sides, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She was lying. And I knew because Emily only screamed when she was guilty. I stared at her for a long moment, letting the silence stretch between us. Then, slowly, deliberately, I pulled out my phone. Her eyes flicked to it, wary. "What are you doing?" "I'm gonna find out who it was." Her face went pale. "Gotcha." I unlocked my phone and opened our phone bill account. Emily didn't know much about tech. She probably thought deleting messages or call logs from her phone made them disappear forever. But I had access to everything. The numbers, the timestamps, all of it. I scrolled down, looking for anything unusual. And then a number. One that showed up over and over again in the past 2 weeks. Late at night, sometimes multiple times in a row. I clicked on it, copying it into my contacts. Emily was still watching me, frozen in place. "Who is this?" I asked, holding up the screen. Her lips parted slightly. A flicker of something crossed her face, guilt, panic, hesitation. But then, like flipping a switch, she forced her expression into something neutral. "I don't know," she lied. "You don't know?" I repeated, voice calm. "Must be spam." I stared at her, then slowly, purposefully hit the dial button. The phone started ringing. And then somewhere inside the house, from another room, another phone started ringing too. A muffled vibration. A phone. Inside our house? My blood ran cold. I turned my head toward the sound. Emily did too, her eyes widening slightly. Then, before I could react, she moved. Fast. She lunged past me, sprinting toward the hallway. And in that moment, I knew whoever had been calling her, whoever she had been talking to late at night. They were here. I didn't think. I just moved. Emily was already halfway down the hall, her bare feet slapping against the hardwood as she bolted toward our bedroom. I took off after her, adrenaline kicking in, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to break out of my chest. She reached the door first, yanking it open with so much force it slammed against the wall. I was right behind her, my pulse roaring in my ears, and just as she dove toward the bed, I saw it, her nightstand drawer, half open. A phone. A second phone. I grabbed her by the wrist before she could reach it, yanking her backward. She let out a shriek, twisting in my grip, her other hand clawing at me, trying to break free. But I wasn't letting go. Not this time. Whose phone is that? My voice thundered through the room. Emily thrashed in my grip. Let me go. Who? The F*** is in my house? She kicked out at me, catching my shin. Pain exploded up my leg, but I didn't care. I let go of her arm just long enough to lunge for the nightstand, grabbing the phone before she could. I had barely wrapped my fingers around it when she tackled me. We hit the floor hard, her nails digging into my arm, her breath ragged and furious in my ear. She was fighting like an animal, desperate, her hands grabbing at the phone, but I was stronger. I rolled, pinning her underneath me, gripping the device so tightly my knuckles ached. "Stop lying to me," I roared, my face inches from hers. For the first time she stilled. Her chest rose and fell rapidly beneath me, her pupils blown wide. There was something there, fear, maybe, or maybe just the realization that she was well and truly caught. "Who is it?" I demanded, voice low and deadly. She swallowed hard, her breath shuddering. "No one." I exhaled sharply through my nose. Then, without breaking eye contact, I unlocked the phone. No password. Idiot. The call log was right there, staring up at me, and the most recent call, the one I had just made, was at the very top. No name, just a number. But that didn't matter. Because right beneath it, in the list of frequent contacts, was one name. Nick. I froze. My entire body went cold. Nick. Our friend. Our married friend. Nick, who had been at the wedding in Chicago. Nick, whose wife, Lauren, was one of Emily's closest friends. Nick, who had been in my house dozens of times. My grip tightened on the phone, my fingers digging into the edges so hard it felt like I might snap it in half. I turned my head slowly, looking down at Emily. She was watching me carefully, her lips pressed into a thin, bloodless line. Waiting to see how I would react. "Nick?" My voice came out quiet. Too quiet. Emily didn't answer. I pushed off her, climbing to my feet, my breathing shallow and uneven. The room felt smaller. Hotter. The walls closing in. Nick. My so-called friend. I clenched my jaw so hard it ached, staring down at the phone in my hand, my vision tunneling. I wanted to throw it. Smash it. Put my fist through the goddamn wall. Instead, I took a slow, measured breath. Then another. And then I turned, walking out of the bedroom without another word. Emily scrambled up behind me. "Where are you going?" I ignored her, moving down the hall. Hey, I'm talking to you." I kept walking. "Jason." I stopped in the doorway of the kitchen, back still to her. Then, slowly, I turned around. Emily was standing in the hallway, barefoot, her hair a mess, her eyes blazing with something I couldn't quite place. She wasn't apologizing. She wasn't crying. She wasn't even sorry. She was angry. Like I was the one who had done something wrong. Like I was the villain in her story. I let out a quiet laugh, shaking my head. "Wow," I muttered under my breath. "You really don't give a shit, do you?" She crossed her arms. "What do you want me to say, Jason?" I stared at her. "You want me to cry? To beg? To act like some pathetic wife groveling for forgiveness?" She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. "Not gonna happen." I exhaled slowly, dragging a hand down my face. "Unbelievable." She shrugged. "It's not like you're some saint either." I blinked. Then I actually laughed. "What? You think I don't know about the way you look at other women?" She accused, stepping closer. "You think I haven't seen the way you flirt with waitresses? With your coworkers? God, Jason, you act like you're so ing perfect, but newsflash, you're not." I stared at her in sheer disbelief. "Are you seriously trying to justify cheating on me by saying I what? Smiled at a waitress?" She shrugged again, lips twisting into something that almost looked like a smirk. "I'm just saying, maybe you should look in the mirror before you go acting all high and mighty." Something in my chest snapped. I took a slow, deliberate step forward. Emily held her ground, chin tilting up in defiance. "You cheated on me," I said, voice like steel. "And not just with anyone, with our friend. With a guy whose wife trusts you. A guy who has been in our house, sat at our dinner table, smiled in my goddamn face." I leaned in, lowering my voice to a whisper. "And you don't even feel bad about it." For the first time, she looked away. Just for a second. But it was enough. I pulled back, exhaling slowly. My hands were steady now. My heartbeat even. Because I had just made a decision. Emily noticed the shift immediately. Her eyes narrowed. "What?" I met her gaze. "You'll see." Then I grabbed my keys, walked out the door, and drove straight to Lauren. Lauren opened the door wearing an oversized sweater and leggings, her blonde hair pulled into a messy bun. She looked surprised to see me standing there, my face probably a mask of barely contained fury. "Jason?" She tilted her head, confusion flickering across her face. "Hey, what's going on?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I took a slow, steady breath, gripping the doorframe so tightly my fingers ached. "Is Nick home?" Lauren frowned. "No, he's working late." "Why? Perfect." I exhaled sharply, nodding to myself. "Can I come in?" She hesitated just for a second, but then stepped aside. "Yeah, of course." I walked in, the scent of cinnamon candles hitting me immediately. Their house was spotless, warm, cozy. A home. The kind of place built on trust, on years of love and partnership. It made me sick to my stomach. I turned to face her. She was still watching me carefully, concern now creeping into her expression. "Jason, you're scaring me a little. What's going on?" I stared at her, at the way her brows furrowed slightly, at the way she hugged her arms to herself like she was bracing for something bad. I hated what I was about to do, but she needed to know. I reached into my pocket and pulled out Emily's second phone. Then, without a word, I unlocked it, scrolled to the call log, and handed it to her. She took it hesitantly, glancing at the screen. Her eyes flicked over the name at the top. Nick. I watched the blood drain from her face. For a second, she just stood there, completely still. Then, very slowly, she lifted her gaze back to mine. What is this?" My throat felt tight. "It's Emily's other phone." Her lips parted slightly, like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. I could see it happening in real-time, the pieces clicking into place, the slow, horrific realization dawning on her. Her fingers trembled around the phone. "Tell me this isn't what I think it is." I swallowed hard, my jaw clenching. "Emily got tested for an STD today," I said, my voice flat. "She came up positive." Lauren inhaled sharply, taking a half-step back like I had just physically struck her. "No." I nodded grimly. "She tried to lie about it. Gaslight me. Said she had no idea how it happened. But when I checked our phone bill, I saw this number. Over and over again. Late at night. Private calls." I exhaled sharply. I called it. This phone started ringing from inside my house. Lauren covered her mouth with one hand, her breathing turning ragged. No. Lauren. But she was already moving, already pacing. One hand fisting into her sweater as she shook her head violently. "No, this isn't," he wouldn't, her voice cracked. "They wouldn't." I said nothing, because we both knew they would. She stopped pacing suddenly, standing in the middle of the living room, her back to me. Her whole body was trembling. Then, very slowly, she turned around. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but there were no tears. Not yet. Just fury. "Where is she?" she asked, voice eerily calm. I exhaled. "At home." Lauren nodded once. Then she stormed toward the front door, grabbing her coat off the hook. I followed her without hesitation, because if there was one thing I wanted more than anything right now, it was to watch Emily's world burn. The drive to my house was silent. Lauren sat rigid in the passenger seat, gripping her phone so tightly I thought she might crack it in half. I could practically feel the rage radiating off her. And the worst part? I got it. I got it because I was feeling the exact same thing. By the time we pulled into the driveway, my hands were itching to slam the door open, to grab Emily and force her to look Lauren in the eyes and admit it. But I didn't have to, because as soon as I unlocked the door, Lauren shoved past me, storming inside like a hurricane. "Emily!" Her voice rang through the house, sharp and venomous. For a second, there was nothing, just silence. Then footsteps. Emily appeared in the hallway, dressed in pajamas, her hair tied up in a messy bun. When she saw Lauren, she stopped dead in her tracks. Her face went slack. "Lauren?" she said cautiously. "What are you doing here?" Lauren took a slow step forward, her hands clenched into fists at her sides. "I know." Emily blinked. "Know what?" Lauren laughed. A cold, humorless sound. Then, in one swift motion, she threw Emily's burner phone onto the floor between them. "Pick it up," she commanded. Emily's gaze flicked to the phone, then back to Lauren. "I don't." "Pick it up." Emily flinched. For the first time since this started, I saw something in her expression that almost looked like fear. She didn't move. Lauren took another step forward, voice dropping to a whisper. "How long?" Emily swallowed hard. "Lauren, how long?" Emily's mouth opened, then shut. Lauren's breathing was ragged now, her whole body vibrating with anger. She shook her head, letting out a shaky laugh. "You were in my house," she hissed. "You smiled in my face. You played with my kids." Emily looked away. Lauren's voice turned lethal. "You let me complain to you about him. You let me tell you about our problems." And the whole time, she let out a shuddering breath. "You were F********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** saw it the moment she decided to double down. She crossed her arms, lifting her chin. You don't know what you're talking about. Lauren actually laughed at that. A wild, almost unhinged laugh. Then she lunged. I barely had time to react before Lauren grabbed Emily by the wrist and shoved her back against the wall. Emily gasped, eyes going wide. You ruined my family, Lauren snarled. You broke my trust. And you don't even have the decency to feel bad about it. Emily struggled in her grip. Lauren let go abruptly, shoving her away. Emily stumbled, catching herself against the wall, her face red with anger and embarrassment. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, Lauren inhaled sharply and straightened her shoulders. She turned to me, eyes flashing. We're going to his office. Emily's breath hitched. Lauren noticed. She smirked. Oh, you don't like that, do you? Emily's lips pressed into a thin line. Lauren tilted her head. You're afraid. Emily's jaw tensed. But she said nothing. Lauren turned to me. Come on. I nodded once. And as we walked out the door, Emily finally broke. Wait, she called out, her voice desperate. Jason, please. I stopped in the doorway, glancing back at her. She looked small now, helpless, pathetic. I met her gaze, my expression unreadable. Then I turned away, and we drove off to destroy Nick. The drive to Nick's office felt like the calm before a storm. The air was thick with tension, an almost suffocating silence sitting between Lauren and me. She hadn't said a word since we left the house. She just sat there, gripping her phone so tightly I could hear the plastic casing creak. I understood. She wasn't just angry. She wasn't just betrayed. She was unraveling. And so was I. When we pulled up to the building, Lauren didn't hesitate. She was out of the car before I had even fully parked, marching toward the entrance like a woman on a warpath. I followed, my pulse pounding in my ears. Nick worked in real estate. He had his own office in a sleek, modern building with big glass windows that reflected the city lights. It was after hours, but I knew for a fact he was still here. He had texted me earlier in the week complaining about late meetings, about how busy he was. Busy. Yeah, right. Lauren yanked open the door, and we stepped into the lobby. The receptionist, some young guy who looked barely old enough to drink, glanced up from his phone. Oh, hi. Can I help you? Lauren didn't even look at him. Where's Nick? The guy blinked, clearly taken aback. He's in his office, but he's with a client, so... She was already moving. The receptionist stammered something behind us, but I ignored him, keeping pace with Lauren as she stormed down the hall, her heels clicking against the polished floor. She knew exactly where she was going. We had been to Nick's office before, for barbecues, holiday parties, casual drop-ins. And yet, something about this walk felt different. Like we weren't just approaching a man's office. We were approaching his reckoning. Lauren reached his door first. She didn't knock. She didn't hesitate. She just shoved it open. Nick was sitting behind his desk, leaning back in his chair, phone in hand. He looked up, startled, eyebrows furrowing as he saw us standing there. Lauren? His gaze flicked to me. Jason? What the hell? Lauren threw Emily's burner phone onto his desk. The room went dead silent. Nick stared at the phone. Then, very slowly, he sat up straighter, his expression shifting into something I couldn't quite read. He knew. He knew exactly why we were here. Lauren crossed her arms, her jaw tight. Say it. Nick's throat bobbed. Say what? Lauren let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Oh, don't ing do that. Don't sit there and pretend like you don't know what this is. She leaned forward, palms flat against his desk. Say it. Nick exhaled slowly, rubbing his temples. Lauren, let's not do this here, okay? Lauren let out a bitter scoff. Oh, now you want privacy? Now, after you spent months sneaking around behind my back? After you ed my best friend and came home to me like nothing happened? She shook her head. No, you don't get privacy, Nick. Not anymore. Nick ran a hand down his face, looking exhausted. Like he was the one who had been wronged here. I clenched my fists. Do you even feel bad? I asked, my voice quiet. Nick glanced at me. For a second, I thought I saw regret there. Guilt? But then, just like Emily, he did what cheaters always do. He deflected. This isn't just my fault, he said. Lauren inhaled sharply. Excuse me? Nick sat back in his chair, shrugging. I mean, yeah, okay. Ed up. I get it. But let's not act like our marriage was perfect, Lauren. You've been distant for years. Always putting the kids first, always shutting me out. Lauren slapped her hands down on the desk so hard that even I flinched. Nick froze. Lauren was seething. Are you serious right now? She hissed. You're blaming me? You think being distant is an excuse to screw my best friend? Nick rubbed his face again like he was exhausted from having to explain himself. I'm just saying, it wasn't like I went looking for it. I exhaled sharply, shaking my head. You are unbelievable. Nick turned to me, his expression hardening. And you? His lips curled into something that almost resembled a smirk. You think Emily was some innocent victim in all this? You think she wasn't talking shit about you the entire time? I felt my heartbeat in my throat. Lauren stiffened. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Nick leaned forward, resting his elbows on his desk. It means your perfect best friend was running her mouth, telling me all about how miserable Jason made her. How he was boring, predictable, didn't give her enough attention. I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt. And you know what? Nick continued, looking straight at me now. She said the same things about you, Lauren. About how you were always too busy being a mom to care about your husband. How she felt sorry for me. Lauren's breathing hitched. I saw the way her hands trembled slightly. But she didn't back down. Instead, she tilted her head, her voice dangerously soft. And you believed her? Nick exhaled, running a hand through his hair. It wasn't about believing her, Lauren. It just happened. Lauren laughed. A short, sharp sound. Oh, right? It just happened. She nodded slowly, as if processing something. Then, abruptly, she reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. Nick frowned. What are you doing? Lauren ignored him. She scrolled for a second, then held up the screen. A picture. Nick's face drained of color. I stepped closer, peering over Lauren's shoulder. And then I saw it. A photo of him and Emily. Together. In a hotel room. His hand gripping her waist. Her face buried in his neck. His wedding ring off. My stomach churned. Nick let out a shaky breath. Where did you get that? Lauren's eyes flashed. Emily isn't as smart as she thinks she is. She smirked. Looks like she backed up her photos to the cloud. And guess who had access? Nick swallowed hard. Lauren, but she wasn't listening. She was already dialing a number, putting the phone on speaker. Nick paled. Who are you calling? Lauren met his gaze. My lawyer. Nick's eyes widened. Wait, Lauren, let's talk about this, but she just turned away, stepping toward the door as the call connected. I followed her without hesitation. And as we walked out of that office, leaving Nick scrambling behind us, I realized something. This wasn't just revenge anymore. This was war. Lauren and I didn't say a word to each other as we walked out of Nick's office. We didn't need to. She was already on the phone, her voice eerily calm as she spoke to her lawyer, laying out everything, Nick's affair, the proof, the burner phone, even the STD. Her words were measured, sharp, precise. It was like watching a surgeon dissect a body, emotionless and efficient. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt empty. I drove Lauren back to her house, neither of us speaking, both lost in our own thoughts. When I pulled into her driveway, she exhaled slowly, staring at the darkened windows of her home. My kids are asleep in there, she murmured. I didn't respond. She turned to me then, her expression unreadable. Jason. I met her gaze. What are you going to do? The question hung in the air between us. I knew what she was asking. Was I going to divorce Emily? Was I going to fight, to burn everything down like she was? I exhaled slowly, gripping the steering wheel. I don't know yet. Lauren studied me for a moment, then nodded. She didn't say anything else, just opened the door and stepped out, walking toward her house without looking back. I sat there for a long time after she was gone, just staring at nothing. And then finally I started the car and drove home. Emily was waiting for me. The second I stepped inside, she was on me. Pacing the living room, her arms wrapped around herself, her face tight with something that almost looked like guilt. Almost. Jason? She breathed, rushing toward me. Listen. I walked past her without a word. Wait. She grabbed my arm, her fingers digging into my sleeve. Please, just listen to me. I stopped. Slowly, I turned to face her. She looked wrecked. Her eyes were red. Her hair a mess. Her entire body vibrating with barely contained panic. But it wasn't the kind of panic that came from guilt. It was the kind that came from consequences. I ed up. She admitted. I know I did. I said nothing. But, Jason, you have to believe me. I never meant for this to happen. I let out a slow, bitter laugh. Oh? So what, you tripped and fell onto Nick's D***K. She flinched. I shook my head, stepping back, running a hand down my face. Jesus Christ, Emily. Her breath hitched. I was lonely, she said quickly. You've been so distant lately, so disconnected, and I barked out a humorless laugh. Oh no. You do not get to pull that S***T on me. I turned to face her fully, my hands clenched into fists at my sides. You want to know why I've been distant, Emily? Maybe because I work 60-hour weeks to give you the life you want. Maybe because every time I tried to talk to you, you were glued to your damn phone, texting God knows who. Maybe because I thought we were fine and meanwhile you were out there screwing my so-called friend. Her lips parted slightly. For the first time she looked genuinely speechless. I exhaled sharply. You don't get to act like the victim here. She swallowed. I know. Do you? I laughed, shaking my head. Because when I caught you, you tried to gaslight me. You tried to blame me. And now what? Now that Lauren knows, now that Nick's world is burning down, now you're sorry. Emily's jaw tightened. I was scared. I scoffed. Yeah. Scared of getting caught. Silence. She didn't deny it. That was it. That was the final nail in the coffin. I stared at her for a long moment, then took a slow, deep breath. I want a divorce. Emily's entire body tensed. Jason, I don't want to hear it, I cut her off. My voice was steady, controlled. I'm done. You made your choice. Now you get to live with it. She inhaled sharply, her hands balling into fists at her sides. So that's it? She snapped. 7 years of marriage, gone? Just like that? I let out a quiet chuckle. 7 years of marriage were gone the second you spread your legs for Nick. Emily's eyes flashed with something: anger, shame, maybe both. She exhaled sharply, shaking her head. You're making a mistake. I tilted my head. Am I? You'll regret this. I smirked. No, Emily. The only thing I regret is trusting you. I turned away, walked down the hall, entered our bedroom and grabbed a duffel bag from the closet, shoving in enough clothes to last a few nights. I wasn't staying here. Not with her. Not anymore. As I zipped up the bag, I heard Emily's voice from the doorway. Where are you going? I didn't answer. I threw the bag over my shoulder, brushed past her, and walked out the door. I wasn't running away. I was just getting ready. Because this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I didn't go to a hotel. Didn't crash at a friend's place. Instead, I drove straight to Lauren's house. I wasn't sure why. Maybe because she was the only other person who truly understood what I was going through. Maybe because I wasn't ready to be alone with my thoughts. Maybe because I wanted to know what Nick's next move was. When I pulled into her driveway, I could see the glow of the living room lights through the curtains. I hesitated for a second, then stepped out of the car and knocked on the door. It only took a few seconds before Lauren answered. She looked exhausted. Her hair was a mess, her sweater slightly off her shoulder, and there was a nearly empty glass of wine in her hand. But her eyes were sharp, alert, calculating. She took one look at me and exhaled. You left her. I nodded. Lauren took a sip of wine, then stepped aside. Come in. I walked inside, and for a moment, neither of us said anything. Then, without warning, Lauren threw back the rest of her wine and slammed the glass onto the counter. Nick came home, she said, voice tight. I straightened. What happened? She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. He tried to play it cool at first. Like maybe if he acted calm, I'd calm down. But when I told him I already had a lawyer, he lost his damn mind. I frowned. What do you mean? Lauren turned to face me fully, crossing her arms. He went on this whole rant about how I was overreacting. How one mistake shouldn't ruin everything. Her lips curled into a bitter smirk. And then, get this, he actually had the audacity to tell me that I wasn't thinking clearly. That we should take a few days to cool off. I let out a dry chuckle. So, basically, he thought he could control you. Lauren tilted her head. Exactly. I ran a hand down my face, exhaling. Jesus. He really thought he could talk his way out of this? Lauren nodded, her expression dark. And when he realized that wasn't happening, he started threatening me. My head snapped up. What? She let out a slow breath. Not physically, she clarified. But he started talking about the kids. About how a divorce would tear them apart. About how he'd make sure I wouldn't get full custody. She scoffed. As if he's ever been an involved father. As if I don't have years of proof that I've done everything while he's been out playing *****ing house with Emily. Anger flared hot in my chest. He's trying to intimidate you. Lauren's eyes flashed. Let him try. I stared at her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't falling apart. She was pissed. And honestly, I respected the hell out of her for it. I leaned against the counter, crossing my arms. So what's the plan? Lauren exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. I meet with my lawyer tomorrow. I want full custody. I want the house. And I want every single dollar I'm entitled to. I smirked. Good. She studied me for a moment. And you? What's your move? I rolled my shoulders, exhaling slowly. I don't just want a divorce, Lauren. My voice was calm. Steady. I want revenge. A slow smile spread across her lips. Now that, she murmured, is something I can get behind. I didn't go to bed that night. Instead, Lauren and I sat at her dining table hashing out every single detail we could use against them. Nick had a lot to lose. His reputation, his business, his family. He prided himself on being the perfect guy, the great dad, the successful entrepreneur, the charming husband. If people knew the truth, if his clients knew the truth, it would destroy him. Emily, on the other hand, she was about to lose the comfortable life she had built for herself. No more cushy house, no more adoring husband to fund her lifestyle. She was about to be completely on her own. And something told me she wouldn't handle that well. By the time the sun started rising, Lauren and I had a solid game plan. She was going after everything. I was making sure Emily walked away with nothing. And Nick? Nick was about to find out what it felt like to have his entire world collapse around him. Because this wasn't just about getting justice anymore. This was about making sure they never forgot what they did to us. At exactly 8 a.m., I walked into the best divorce attorney's office in town. I wasn't playing games. I wasn't dragging this out. I wanted Emily out of my life as fast and as painfully as possible. And if I could make sure she suffered for what she did, even better. The lawyer, Mark something, was a sharp-looking guy in his late 40s, dressed in an expensive suit and radiating quiet confidence. He glanced over the paperwork I had brought, bank statements, phone records, Emily's test results, and then leaned back in his chair, steepling his fingers. "This is bad," he said bluntly. I smirked. "For her?" "Yeah." He nodded. "You have everything you need to bury her in this divorce. Infidelity, reckless endangerment, you could take her for everything." I leaned forward. "That's exactly what I want." Mark studied me for a second, then nodded. "All right, let's talk strategy." By noon, I had everything set in motion. Divorce papers were being drawn up, financial assets were being examined, and every single dirty little secret Emily had was about to be laid bare. I didn't go home. Instead, I met up with Lauren. She was already 3 steps ahead. Her lawyer had been ruthless. Not only was she filing for full custody of the kids, but she was also demanding a complete financial audit of all of Nick's accounts. If he had been sneaky with money, if he had used a single shared dime on Emily, he was screwed. We sat in her car outside Nick's office building, drinking coffee and going over the final details. "You sure you want to do this?" Lauren asked, glancing at me over the rim of her cup. I didn't hesitate. "Absolutely." She smirked. "Good." Then she pulled out her phone and hit send. The fallout started immediately. Lauren had crafted a beautifully worded email, attaching the photo evidence of Nick and Emily's affair, the call logs, and even Emily's STD results. She sent it to Nick's entire office. Every single employee, every single business partner, every single client. By the time we parked near the office, it was chaos. Nick's name was being dragged through the mud. His clients were pulling out of deals. His employees were whispering. And best of all, he had no idea what was coming. Lauren smirked as she scrolled through the responses. "Looks like Mr. Family Man is about to lose a lot of money." I leaned back, exhaling slowly. Good. But we weren't done. Not even close. I finally went home that evening feeling lighter than I had in days. Emily was sitting on the couch when I walked in, clutching her phone with a stricken expression. Her eyes were wide, her lips parted in shock. She looked up at me slowly. "You," she whispered. I tossed my keys onto the counter. "Me." Her nostrils flared. "You did this." I raised an eyebrow. "Did what?" Her grip tightened on her phone. "Nick just called me. His business is collapsing. His clients are leaving, his employees are pissed, he thinks Lauren did it, but I know it was you." I smirked. "Oh? And what exactly did I do, Emily?" She stood abruptly, furious now. "You exposed us." I laughed, slow and deliberate. "Oh, sweetheart." I stepped closer, lowering my voice. "You exposed yourself the second you decided to screw another man behind my back." Her breath hitched. I leaned in, my voice dropping to a mocking whisper. "You thought you could do this to me? To Lauren? And just walk away?" She swallowed hard. I pulled back, smirking. "Now you get to watch everything fall apart." Emily snapped. "You petty, vengeful bastard." She shrieked, shoving me. "You think this makes you a man? Ruining my life? Ruining Nick's life?" I didn't move. Didn't even flinch. I just smiled. And that made her even angrier. "You think you won?" She spat, eyes blazing. "You think I'm just going to let you destroy me?" I exhaled, shaking my head. "Emily, you destroyed yourself. I'm just making sure you feel it." Her jaw clenched so hard I thought her teeth might crack. She was furious. Desperate. Good. Because this was only the beginning. Emily paced the living room like a trapped animal, her fists clenching and unclenching at her sides. She was fuming. Not remorseful. Not regretful. Not even embarrassed. Just furious because for the first time in her life, she had no control. And I was watching her burn. You think you can just rip my life apart and walk away? She snapped, spinning to face me. I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. Emily, I don't need to rip your life apart. I smirked. You did that all by yourself. Her eyes darkened. You're going to regret this, Jason. I laughed. Because that was hilarious. I'm going to regret divorcing a liar and a cheater? I raised an eyebrow. I don't think so. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a venomous whisper. You'll regret humiliating me like this, making me look like a fool, making me lose everything. I tilted my head. Funny. That's exactly what you did to me. Emily's breathing turned ragged. She was shaking now, not from fear, but from sheer, uncontrollable rage. For years, she had always been the one with the upper hand. The one who twisted situations, who manipulated, who lied so well it felt like truth. But now, she was backed into a corner, and she hated it. I turned, heading toward the bedroom to grab the rest of my things. But before I could take 2 steps, Lauren is using you, Emily hissed. I froze. Slowly, I looked back at her. Emily's lips curled into a cruel smile. Oh, what? You think she actually cares about you? That you two are in this together? She laughed, shaking her head. She's using you to take down Nick, Jason. And when she's done, she'll throw you away just like she's throwing him away. I exhaled through my nose, unimpressed. Wow, I'm used. That almost sounded convincing. You should have tried that before I found out you were a lying, cheating piece of she knew. Silence. I narrowed my eyes. What? Emily smirked. Lauren. She knew about me and Nick before you did. I stared at her. Bullshit. Emily shrugged, crossing her arms. Believe what you want. But ask yourself this, why do you think she wasn't surprised when you showed up at her house? Why do you think she already had a plan? Why do you think she just happened to have all those messages and pictures ready to go? I clenched my jaw. She knew, Jason, Emily continued, voice dripping with poison. She just didn't care until it benefited her. I turned away, refusing to give her the satisfaction of a reaction. But her words? They dug in deep. I barely slept that night. I told myself it was just Emily being Emily, twisting the truth, trying to manipulate me into second-guessing everything. But a nagging voice in the back of my head wouldn't shut up. What if she was right? What if Lauren had known? What if I had been so caught up in my own betrayal that I never stopped to question anything? The next morning, I drove to Lauren's house. She opened the door wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, a cup of coffee in her hand. Her eyebrows shot up when she saw me. You look like hell. I didn't respond. I just stepped inside, closing the door behind me. Lauren frowned, setting her coffee down. Jason? What's wrong? I exhaled, rubbing a hand over my face. I need to ask you something. And I need you to tell me the truth. She crossed her arms. Okay. I looked her in the eye. Did you know about Nick and Emily before I told you? Silence. Lauren's entire body stilled. And that was my answer. I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head. Jesus Christ. Lauren exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. Jason, you knew. I cut her off. For how long? She hesitated. A few weeks. A few weeks. I stared at her in disbelief. And you didn't tell me? Her jaw clenched. I didn't have proof. I had suspicions. I wasn't going to say anything until I knew for sure. I scoffed. Oh, so you waited until I found out? Until I showed up at your house with the evidence? Lauren's eyes darkened. You think this was easy for me? She snapped. You think I didn't want to tell you? That I didn't hate myself for keeping it in? I shook my head, stepping back. You were supposed to be my friend, Lauren. Her face twisted. And you were supposed to be mine. I narrowed my eyes. What the hell is that supposed to mean? She let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. You really don't see it, do you? See what? Lauren crossed her arms. Jason, you weren't happy. Not with Emily. Not for a long time. I clenched my jaw. She exhaled sharply, shaking her head. Did you ever stop to think about why I didn't tell you? Maybe because deep down you already knew. Maybe because part of you didn't want to know. I exhaled sharply, running a hand over my face. Jesus, Lauren, you sound just like her. Her eyes flashed. Don't you dare. I let out a humorless laugh. What? You're both just so good at justifying S***T when it benefits you. Lauren shook her head, stepping back. This isn't about me. This isn't about what I did or didn't tell you. This is about you finally admitting that Emily wasn't the only liar in your marriage. I stilled. Lauren's voice dropped. You lied to yourself every single day. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Because she wasn't wrong. I had known. Somewhere, Deep down, in the way Emily stopped touching me, in the way she laughed at her phone but never at me, in the way she made me feel like a chore. I had ignored it, because admitting it would have meant admitting that my marriage had been dead long before Emily ever slept with Nick. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. Lauren sighed, rubbing her temples. Look, you're pissed at me? Fine. But don't pretend like I'm the reason Emily cheated. Don't pretend like I'm the one who hurt you. I exhaled sharply. I need some time, Lauren. She nodded, her expression softening. I get it. I turned toward the door, pausing just before stepping out. Lauren's voice stopped me. Jason? I glanced back. She held my gaze. Don't let them win. I swallowed hard. Then I walked out. And for the first time since this started, I wasn't sure who the enemy really was anymore. I drove aimlessly for hours. The weight of everything sat heavy on my chest, pressing down until I could barely breathe. Emily's betrayal, Lauren's deception, Nick's pathetic excuses, it was all tangled together in a mess of lies, manipulation, and half-truths. But the worst part? Lauren was right. I had spent years lying to myself, pretending everything was fine, ignoring the signs, letting Emily treat me like an afterthought while I convinced myself that was just marriage, that things would get better, that if I worked harder, if I gave more, if I just tried, she'd look at me the way she used to. I had spent years holding onto a corpse, refusing to admit it was already dead. And now? Now I was free. Not just from Emily, but from the lie. I pulled into a parking lot overlooking the city, resting my arms on the steering wheel. The sun was setting, casting everything in deep shades of orange and gold. It was beautiful. Quiet. A stark contrast to the chaos I had just endured. For the first time since this whole mess started, I breathed. Really, truly breathed. And then I pulled out my phone. The divorce papers were filed the next morning. I didn't give Emily a chance to beg, to argue, to negotiate. My lawyer had the best in the business on speed dial, and within days, everything was in motion. Emily didn't take it well. She screamed when she saw the paperwork, called me every name in the book, told me I was making the biggest mistake of my life. You're throwing away everything we built. She shrieked, pacing the kitchen like a lunatic. I just smiled, sipping my coffee. You threw it away the second you let another man inside our bed. That shut her up. Nick, on the other hand, he had bigger problems. Lauren annihilated him. The financial audit exposed everything. Turns out, he had been spending a lot of their joint money on Emily. Hotels, flights, gifts, even cash transfers. Lauren's lawyer tore him apart in mediation. She got everything. The house, full custody, child support that would leave Nick bleeding every single month. And when the judge ruled in her favor, Lauren turned to Nick with a sweet, satisfied smile and said, "Tell Emily I said hi." Nick lost his mind. Lauren left the courtroom glowing. It took months for the dust to settle. Emily tried reaching out a few times, weak, desperate texts that I didn't even bother responding to. I had nothing left to say to her. Nick? He disappeared. Lost his biggest clients. Had to sell his office. Last I heard, he was struggling to keep his business afloat, and Emily? Well, she didn't exactly sign up to be with a broke man. Lauren texted me one night, months later. Emily and Nick broke up. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was predictable. She had destroyed everything for him. And the second things got hard, she bailed. It was exactly what she deserved. I rebuilt my life from the ground up. Got my own place. Focused on myself for once. I started hitting the gym, eating better, picking up old hobbies I had abandoned,